So go ahead and let Hanif tell his story. So really, we are all entrepreneurs looking to get information and insight from other entrepreneurs. So I'm really glad that you signed up to come and speak and tell us about your journey. So I'll let you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity and coming here all the way to Lincoln and seeing all these great people around me. And I'm very pleased to be here talking about my journey. I have a very sometimes emotional journey, I would say, and sometimes it is a very interesting and at the same time an inspiring story that people will see that after all the hurdles that they have faced, they have come up, and there was also this sense of resilience in my journey that I've never let myself go down, but I always try to come up after each shocks that I have seen in life. So my father was a silversmith in Afghanistan. Actually, he was a blacksmith. And when the Russians invaded Afghanistan in 1979, so a lot of people had to leave the country and they had to migrate, because of the heavy bombardments of the Russian troops, as we can see today what's happening in Ukraine. So the same was our story back in 1979. So we had to leave the country, and although we went to different villages, changing places, but then ultimately we could not bear, my parents could not bear all the chaos and the bombardment, so they had to leave the country in 1982 to Pakistan. So at that time I was only 2 or 3, as my mom said, and she triggered the mountains of Khyber Pass, which is a very treacherous mountains in Pakistan and Afghanistan that connects. So we had to go to Pakistan, and there the whole idea was on survival. So education was the least important thing at that time, So that's what my father did. Okay, he had that skill, and he turned that skill into a sort of a business that could feed and clothe us in those difficult times. So we did not have those social or economic benefits that we have here in the United States, such as EBT or SNAP, because you're on your own. So there's no one to help you. Only if there were some organization like UNHCR, they will only give you a shelter, a temporary shelter, but nothing more than that. And everything else relies on your own ability and on your own luck. So you have to make it. So my father had a skill, and that skill helped him to raise us in an environment where we could go to school. I'm a member of 12 family members. Like I have 6 sisters and 5 brothers. So this was a typical Afghan family, how big we are, So, but gradually, he was working, and as we grew up, we learned the skill, But in the meantime, we were going to school. But I dropped from school 3 to 4 times because some was because of financial difficulties, and others were because of our own lack of understanding or knowing the importance of education. As I said before, that education was the least important thing at that time. It was more about you were getting earning money, to so that we could survive. We could make some money to survive. So we were going to school, and my father was still working, and there were many tourists coming from the United States because there was war in Afghanistan, and we were in Peshawar, Pakistan, and we could see this plethora of tourists coming, or journalists coming to Pakistan to cover Afghanistan or also cover Afghan refugees. So I've seen many of them coming to our little hut that we had, and my father was working on that, and they were covering our story. And I didn't know English at all, what they were talking about, because they had their own interpreters. But I was an apprentice of my dad. I was learning how to make jewelry, how to put different stones, how to do the lipidry work of gems and jewelry. But other than that, I didn't know anything else. So, but then I started going to an English language course or English language center where I learn a little bit of English that I can speak right now. And this way, as I grew, so I grew my skills and I grew my English language. And after like 3 to 4 dropouts, I was able to graduate from 12th grade, you know. Oh, I graduated finally, you know. And then when I graduated, I was lucky enough to to join the UNHCR that I was talking about, who were helping refugees. I joined them I got a blue-collar job, and that means that, okay, now I had time to translate from one person to the other. So I was a translator between these refugees and the international community. So that gave me a platform to a little bit grow, and in the meantime, go to this was the time when Americans came to Afghanistan, and there was a different world, and we were still in Pakistan. They said, okay, refugees were repatriating to Afghanistan. And this way, I went to Afghanistan and my whole family. But in the meantime, my father died in Pakistan of cancer. So he could not join us to go back to Afghanistan. And his graveyard is still in Pakistan. But we lost our dad. But in the meantime, we said, okay, we have to move on. So I went to Afghanistan, and we shifted our business, and my brother opened a shop, and they were hired by a British company, so who were all silversmiths and gemologists. So as we grow up and our mentalities changed to the world, and now then I joined the United Nations. I work for elections, and I work for what I learned in school, like governance and democracy. So I become an advisor, and I was trained on economics, on governance, on democracy. So I become a social entrepreneur, because I was helping people how to stand on their own feet and have their own voice. So I worked for a while in Afghanistan, and then I went to Liberia. I worked for elections in Liberia. Then I went to Nepal for elections. So I worked for elections. But I had still that passion in my heart that, okay, I still love silver, and I still love gems, you know. That was still in my mind. So whenever nothing worked, of course, that was always there to help me out, you know. So I went to, then I came back to Afghanistan, and I started my own business. I established this gem shop, and then I had an online platform where I was, doing this. It's because of my passion, because of the legacy that it was left from my dad. So I wanted to continue that legacy. So when I was in Afghanistan, I didn't have any bachelor's degree. So I got a scholarship from the Indian government, and then I went to India. I studied there economics. So it was my first degree in economics. So I studied economics. After coming back from India, I worked in Afghanistan for agriculture sector. So I worked for agriculture sector, where I was helping the farmers, the others, to find markets for their products. But and then I also switched to Kabul municipality, where I helped the cities, like the business entities, how to grow their businesses in different business districts. So that gave me a platform where I could interact closely with businesses, and in the meantime, to use my own little knowledge, practical knowledge of how to establish businesses. So then later on, I was very glad to get a scholarship as a Fulbright. I came to the United States as a Fulbright scholar. So I went to University of Arizona for a few months, Tucson, and I don't know that Tucson is very popular for gems and jewelry. I ended up there. And then my brother tell me that, do you know there's a city, it's called Tucson, that is very famous for gems? I say, I'm living in Tucson. He said, are you? I say, wow. Then go to these shows. Oh, then I went to these shows and I said, wow, I'm in the right place. But then I was there only for about 6 to 7 months. Then I came to Cornell University for my degree. I did a degree in international development and finance. So I went there and I spent some, like, from very hot place to a very cold, So I spent like 2 years there, and I went back to Afghanistan. So when I went back to Afghanistan, I rejoined the Ministry of Agriculture. And then at that time, with all the skills I gained, I became the director of private sector development, where I was leading all these entrepreneurs, like the farmer entrepreneurs, those guys who I was leading this sector where youngsters would come and they would want to open businesses. Like we were acting more like a venture capitalists. So that gave me the passion that, okay, there's a lot to do for entrepreneurs, And I led that. We had our own entourage of these farmers and entrepreneurs. I would take them to different exhibitions, expos around the world. Like we went to Dubai Expo, we went to Seoul, and it's one of that in Abu Dhabi. We went to Germany, Green Week Berlin. We went to Thailand. So wherever there was exhibitions for entrepreneurs, I would take these guys with me, and they would, present their products to different people, and as a result, they would sign contracts. And so things were working very well for Afghanistan and for the people, because we had a voice, and we had a platform where we could echo our, pitch our ideas to the outside world. So this helped many people to recognize Afghanistan, to recognize the products of Afghanistan. And in the meantime, we had USAID, United States International Development Agency, was helping all these entrepreneurs to go to these different places. And I become sort of a voice of these entrepreneurs, because the U.S. Embassy would take me to different panels, and I would speak, and I would encourage the investors to come to Afghanistan and invest in the Afghan economy and help raise these small businesses, especially in the handicraft industry, and as well as in the agriculture sector. And most of them were women, because women were the dominant, and they were in the rural areas who wanted a footprint, and they wanted a market somewhere, and that helped, those connections helped connect them to the market. And I was like holding national ag fairs. They call it ag fair in Afghanistan, agriculture fairs, and they was always inaugurated by the president of Afghanistan. And in the meantime, there were hundreds of people would come every year. It was very, very big exhibitions that we could bring all these people, and there was B2Bs and business-to-business talk, B2Cs, business-to-consumer discussions. So like I started from somewhere where I had a very little passion, but I came, and as I learned, as I worked with people, and I saw the importance of entrepreneurship and how this can change life, how this can bring improvement in the life of the rural community, especially for a country like Afghanistan, which was very much aid dependent. So we sort of cut that dependence for the common people. We made them dependent on exports, dependent on international markets, dependent on each other, so they could understand what to buy from each other, So that helped them connect to the international markets. And then I was asked to write a few books for them, so that they could they could start their own businesses. So then I come up with a series of books, starting from marketing, like how to do marketing, market intelligence book, the supply chain, like the other was of the business registration in Afghanistan and elsewhere, export, import registrations, and some of what are those important things. Then we learn about the W2 rules and regulations. So what are some things that we need to know about these things? So all these things helped those small businesses to be more formalized, because things were very much informal in Afghanistan. They were not registered. So we established a business registry where businesses would register, and they will bring their work plans. We will study their business plans. What is this business plan? Whether where their investment will make money or not. We would advise them what you can change, what you cannot change. Let's say we had people who were doing the marketing, the products for them, the video, the photography. So this become sort of more like a place where people could, we sort of infuse passion in people and youngsters for entrepreneurship. And that's how people got into this business, in many businesses. But then I because I worked for the U.S. Embassy very closely, so I got eligible to come to the United States as a special immigrant applicant visa. I got a special immigrant visa, and I came to the United States. So when I came here, so life was quite different, because I'm starting from very, very scratch. That what I established in Afghanistan, that's no longer with me. I don't have connections here. And now what do I have? So what we had to bring a lot of luggage with us, all what we needed, And my wife just put he had a bag of all just different jewelry, handmade jewelry that my dad and my cousins all made. I said, okay, let's take this with us, and let's give it a try. How is the market for this in the United States? So he had it, and I was struggling to find a job with my degree from Cornell, and from my education, from my entrepreneurship skills. And then we came to Virginia, Richmond, and I just was not able to find any job, and it was difficult to survive. Then I had to, now what my father did when he became a refugee, so I have to follow his footsteps. So now I took out all those jewelry that I had, and I went to different stores, and I showed them that this is what our families make. Are you interested? And I said there was a lot of interest for that, and people liked it. And this way they ordered me some things to make, say like, can I have this? Okay, this way, that life got some sort of energy. I said, okay, now there is a life in the United States. So let's proceed with this slowly and gradually. Let's see what would happen. But in the meantime, I was always trying for getting job, finding jobs and applying for different jobs. So, but then I ended up in the University of Nebraska at Omaha. So I came here and I joined the Center for Afghanistan Studies. This was a center where I could help Afghanistan, and the people of Afghanistan, and with different projects. So here we had a project where we were helping small businesses through what is it called? AUF, American University of Afghanistan. So United States established a university in Afghanistan, and they had a business hub. So I helped that business hub grow from here. So I was going forth and coming forth, and also advising them. So we with the help of the UNO staff, the business school, we established that entrepreneurship center there, and that sort of helped those Afghan women and Afghan girls and Afghan boys to learn more about entrepreneurship, and we connect them to international markets. So this way I also learn about doing businesses here. But in the meantime, I said, okay, let's not forget about it, and let's learn more about business. So I went to business school, and I got another master's in business economics. I said, well, let's see, I don't want to forget, I want to survive, and I also want to get education. So, but my wife was always upset, say that I think you should give up studying, it doesn't work here. Just focus on your entrepreneurship skills and do something about it. But I finally graduated, and I also started growing my business. Now I have a website. I'm going to different shows, different gyms and jewelry shows. I was in Lincoln in March, or maybe it was in April. There's a big show. and I go to Kansas City. I do all these things as a side business, but I'm sure that sometimes when nothing else works, so this is always with me. God helps me to run my business and I mean, at least eke out or win my bread and butter through, gems and jewelry. Now I work for a company here for Physicians Mutual for a year, and then as a researcher, but somehow I was laid off, and this made it very difficult for me. I was just my employment ended at a time when I just signed the lease of my new house, or what is it called, the contract, or what is it, the mortgage of my new house, and I hadn't paid even a single payment when I was laid off, and I'm now unemployed. Really, literally, I don't have a job, but I have this thing, with me. At least it's always good to have something for the rainy days, and I have this gems and jewelry and now I'm looking for a shop. And yesterday I looked for a few shops and said, okay, now that nothing else, that education that I'm gaining, it's not working in the United States. I don't know if it's because of my color, my name, or my whatsoever, but it's not working here. So now the best thing is to focus on entrepreneurship. And I think this is where many people who have struggles in the United States is a land of opportunities. So if one thing doesn't work, there are many other opportunities. And God will always open, when He closes one door, He always opens other doors. So we believe in that, and now I'm here. I have a business which is running, but it's small. And I have a passion now to let it grow. And of course, I would need the help of people like yourself, your advice, so that we can grow businesses and also help. So the idea for me was so that because I lived in a place in Afghanistan where I had struggled getting education. Now, there are many others in Afghanistan who have difficulty attaining education, especially girls. Now, what I said, that this will be an opportunity that I can connect them, I can train them to make jewelry, and I can import their jewelry, and then I can sell it here. And this way, this will be a channel where I could help Afghan women and men and others who are interested to lead or to live a decent life in Afghanistan. So this has been my life story, but of course, the United States is not an easy place. It all depends on how smart you are, and I don't know, we're not smart here, and we're learning to be smart,
No, that is you have an absolutely amazing story. All of I can't even imagine the trials and challenges that you have had. I'm glad that you're here. Very glad that you're here. That you're here today, and I'm glad that you're here in the United States with the wealth of information that you can provide. I know there's lots of questions. I can't think of any right now. When you guys help me out, I'm really very moved by your story.
Thank you
for sharing. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
So are you having an supply issue now that there's a new government in Afghanistan that is anti-female? Are you having supply issues because of that?
Well, it's not like very strict it's not very strict like issues that, for example, they won't let us go, but they don't only allow. It has to be regulated in their terms. We had licenses in the past, and those licenses sometimes are invalid. And they say that you have to validate it and you have to make it. And now we are working out with them, but there hasn't been any issue that we were not able to bring anything to Afghanistan from Afghanistan. So it's very easy. DHL works, and there are others who are working. And sometimes we had to bring it to Pakistan, and from Pakistan we detail it to Afghanistan, or we FedEx it to United States from Pakistan.
Okay.
Yeah, but this has been not an issue. Yeah.
I think your story is, it's important, that thread of having a trade, having a skill, having a niche of something that not everyone has. And I think
Yeah.
that that's so neat that you have that you've been able to fall back on as
Yeah.
you've had different. That's just really inspiring, and it's a good reminder as I'm raising my kids to teach them something that can't be taken away from them. I think
Yeah.
that's really, really neat. So what do you feel like now at this point as you're trying to grow your business? What are some challenges that maybe we could help with or recommend or do for you?
Yeah, like last night, like it was a very tough time. Like when my wife and I were discussing now what to do. The mortgage is like $2,500 per month, and the shop that I cite is $2,000, and then I say that now I have another $10,000 and this is a big shop. Now the thing is, if I start doing this, can I make enough money to give my house mortgage and also give the rent of the, So this is one. And then, like, or do I need to do some strong marketing, So I have to ask, how can I play with the mindset of people so that I can attract them, change their behavior to come towards an FDC, an Afghan? Will this give them a positive connotation or a negative connotation? Because I'm a positive story from Afghanistan, and I have done nothing. I have worked for democracy in Afghanistan, and we have established that system that was working for entrepreneurship, for the capitalist economy, but it didn't work for somehow, and we were the victims, not, But now if I put this on my board, will this attract people, or will this dissuade people to come to my business? No.
I think that's a question for all entrepreneurs, that we have to decide who we're focused on, because you're always going to have people that don't like you personally, or they don't like your business, or whatever. That's just something we all deal with. So.
Yeah.
Have you talked to the MBDC, the business development, about funding opportunities or loans, things like that, business startup funding?
Not really.
Okay,
Yeah.
that could be a really good resource for you.
Mhm.
It's been very helpful to us with our various businesses, and
Uh-huh.
have a good view of all the different opportunities for a business like yours.
Oh, yeah.
And their
Mhm.
resources.
Oh yeah, I think, yeah.
We have a representative that's here
Mm.
in our building,
Yeah.
but there's also a representative at UNO.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so
Mhm.
before you leave, I can get some contact information for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, sure.
For both of those, because I think that is
Mm.
a good suggestion, Stacy, that they could
Yeah.
you look at some possible
Mm.
grants or
Yeah.
funding.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
Be registered as a minority-owned business.
Mhm.
Sometimes there are special opportunities if
Oh.
you're registered as a minority-owned business.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, then everybody at MBDC will be able to help with that.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
can get your contact information too, because I get a weekly
Yeah.
from another entrepreneurship place
Mhm.
too. There's constant resources. Is your wife involved in the business too?
Yeah, yeah.
Women-owned businesses, there's also
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
sector of funding
Mhm.
for that too.
Yeah, my wife is helping me, and also she opened dresses, like a lot of Afghans who come here, or a lot of people of Pakistan, of India, they usually don't wear what you are wearing, They're wearing different, very colorful things in the businesses, in the parties. So she's selling that from home, So, and there are people coming and they're buying it,
So are you to the point that you're able to support a brick and mortar store at this point in time, or are you doing a lot of business online that at this point in time that option might have to wait?
Well, I'm more looking for a shop, which can help me to find a station, to find a place so that people recognize me, They know that, okay, someone is here and the brand is here, so that they can come and they could see myself for their own self, rather than if I'm showing it online and there are a lot of things, they can not only see me but many other people. But regionally, my focus is on the region, where I could help, bring Afghanistan gems, jewelry, all handcrafts to the region, like Des Moines, Nebraska, Kansas City, like up to Iowa, all these places, and that's what I want to have a shop, and this brick and mortar PlayStation will help me to attract people, and at the same time I will establish a. I was thinking that there will be one station where I'll do online. When there's no one, when it's a free time, I can get online and show things to people live. So this is what I was thinking, and for that I think I'm not very savvy. With photography, and that requires very strong photography skills and video skills. That maybe someone from your platform can help me.
Well, and one of Patty has shops to use, so about 4 times a year she'll have, it's almost like a bazaar.
Yeah.
You'll have your different shops and whatnot, and people come in, and her last one was very, very successful.
Oh, great. Yeah,
so,
yeah. I think I can connect to her.
I'm looking for a card now, Patty.
Yeah.
Are any of your brothers and sisters involved in the business?
Yeah, my brothers who are in Pakistan, because they cannot live, 2 of them live in Afghanistan, 1 lives in Pakistan. They're involved, and my sisters in Pakistan, they're making.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because at that time all family had to work, because we could not make the ends meet with one person, so everybody has to be involved. And that's what we did. And now I think the history repeats itself. So now we have to help, at this difficult time that we are facing. Now I'm helping my children say that, okay, you need to learn, get out of roadblocks and that stuff, to use it for the benefit. Like, how to use your tech savvy, you know how to use TikTok and other platforms now, how to turn that challenges into opportunities, and that's what we are trying to do. Yeah.
Are you familiar with Echo Collective? It's a entrepreneur here in Lincoln that encourages helping, like, Afghanistans, Ukrainians, whatever, women in business to be able to learn how to have their own business, grow their own business here in the United States.
No, not really. No.
Okay. I would like your card, because I'd like to connect the 2 of you, because Kelly is an amazing, amazing person. In fact, she just spoke 2 weeks ago?
Last week.
Last week, okay.
Oh, great.
And she, I met Sakina, she's from Afghanistan, there's some ladies from, and she's very, very passionate about helping women such as your wife and others grow their businesses.
Good. Good to know that. Very good. Yeah, so just, trying, it's always good that you have people like you, like your center, that we can reach out and help. But I haven't reached out to anyone so far. I think this happened in a very right time, that I know people of my mindset, that I can share my story and learn from them, Yeah.
And that's one thing with the Omaha and Lincoln community, that entrepreneurial ecosystem is I feel like it's very open, very welcoming.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, after you leave today, I know that we as a team will think of ways that we can connect to you or help you in what you're doing right now. So there are people out there that we can make connections to hopefully help you onto your journey that you have right now.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that will be very helpful. Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
I would suggest that you connect him with Nah Hoskins.
Oh, that would be a good connection.
because of what he's doing internationally right now through Washington, and basically a parallel to what he's doing, what you're doing right now. And I think it'd be a good connection for him. He went through a lot of the same struggles. Nav is from Iraq.
Yeah.
He was associate at SCC. He then got a position as a grant position through Washington, D.C. to start entrepreneurial businesses in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's a parallel opportunity there for you in Afghanistan, and you yet working from here, but not taking away from your gym business.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think such connections can help. When I was in Afghanistan, I went to Afghanistan in 2021 in August. So I was there when when American troops left Afghanistan in the evacuation, and I was stuck. And that's another story that. But at that time, I applied for a grant, and I was accepted for the grant. It was in the final stages that the U.S. government was giving me like about $100,000 grant to invest on my business. But all of a sudden, everything collapsed, and my efforts went for futile, That was almost there. We were almost there to get that and start a businesses. We ordered the machines and give all the specifications and whatsoever. But then it collapsed, and all of a sudden, then I didn't have any how to leave Afghanistan. Now that was another challenge for me. I went to the airport, to the embassy, and they said that okay, the embassy has left, and you have to go back to the airport to find Americans. So that was a very horrible day. Went back home, and there was traffic in Afghanistan, very huge traffic, because Taliban had took over Kabul, and there was no way to leave the country. So I rushed to the airport. I went there, and I could not find Americans. Where are they? I was asking people, but no one was telling us where they are. So I went it was 5 p.m., but I could not find them until 11 p.m. I was just looking for them inside the airport. Then someone came and said, okay, you can stand here. Americans will come and pick you. And so I had my green card at that time. Now I'm a U.S. citizen. But at that time I had a green card. And I showed them to them, but they said that no, we don't take green card holders. You have to have a blue, passport. But I told them that okay, my kids are there, and I work there for the University of Nebraska at Omaha. So I think this is my driving license, and this is my insurance card. I showed all kind of IDs that I had, But they say no, we're not. We cannot take you. And there was firing, and there was all this chaos happening. But I say I cannot go back to Afghanistan, to outside the airport. I had to stay inside. Somehow I have to find a way to get into the plane. So I called my friends, my military friends and they were talking to them on the phone, but they were not listening to anyone. They said that no, we can't take you. And there was all firing and chaos, and people vandalized the whole airport, and it was such a mess, Then next day I said, no, I have to do something. I cannot stay like this. I was going to them, begging them, okay, these are all my cards, and please let me go. Give me this opportunity to leave. But they say, okay, wait, we will take you. Let us take care of others. But there were thousands of people. How can when people were just coming in thousands and like groups and groups, they were thronging into the airport. And whenever I talked to somebody, and then he or she was about to convince that she would take me, then other people would come and she would take care of others, and she would forget about me. And then I could not recognize them because they were covered. And I say, who was that person that he was taking me? I don't know who he was. But so this happened. Like I was there for 2 nights inside the airport. Then eventually, I just begged them that okay, I'm in the university and the class are going to start. I beg you, please take me. I'm a corn husker, please. and then somebody understood my language, I think. So yeah, come on, go. So then they gave me the opportunity, and then I was so tired. So my whole body was in pain because of sleeplessness and all the pain I had. No food, no bathroom, and no water, nothing, you know. And then they give me, okay, what do you do? Go to the plane. They will put you something on your head, on your hands. So I say, okay, give me some time so that I could. I want to take a nap, but when people are leaving, please wake me up because I'm very tired. But nobody woke me up. When I woke up, there was no one in the hall. Everybody has left. I say, where is everyone? I just rushed towards the outside. When I saw that people were, they were getting on to the plane. I said, thanks, there's still a plane. I just went to the plane, and otherwise they would have gone, and I don't know how many more days I would have stayed. And then we went to Qatar. From Qatar, we had to stay there for a few days, And then I wrote an article, about my journey. I wrote an email, and this email turned into an article, an international article, which was published in The Conversation. And then Seen and Learn about me, the Fox News, and all those media guys learn about me that, oh, this guy escaped. He was the first guy who left the country in this chaos. He has the story comes from the horse's mouth,
Right.
So I went, and everybody was, when I landed in the U.S., it was after another 3 days, and I was so tired already. And when I landed in Washington, D.C., I booked my tickets just from Washington to Omaha. I didn't look here and there. I said, go. And my children were crying for me, oh, you're stuck there, how can you come? And I was worried about them now. If I'm not here, because I don't have anyone else, what they can do. But eventually I made it, and then, so I said, okay, thanks God. And I had one rock with me that I bought, I loved it, and I couldn't bring that rock. That was so beautiful. I said, okay, I love you, but I won't. I can't take you. But I'll come back to you when days gets, when everything looks better. I can take you back. So this is all happening, and happening for a reason. But we are still optimistic about life, and the United States is a great country, and it has a place for me, for people like me, who can bring changes in people's lives with a positive story and a positive product.
Great.
Yeah.
How many children do you have?
I have 4 children. Yeah, I have. I don't want to be an Afghan, typical Afghan.
What ages are they?
My daughter is 13, and then followed by my son, 10, and another son who's 6, and another daughter who was born in Omaha. She's 4. She's going to start kindergarten next year, this coming academic year. Yeah.
I got a question about your shop.
Yeah.
Do you mostly do repairs or new jewelry?
Well, I know how to repair and how to make, but I need to hone those skills, because I haven't done it for a while. But I can do that, and when I establish it, one portion of it should be about, repairing and polishing and sort of things like that.
Just curious.
Yeah, sure.
That's a great question, though, because I think that some of those trades,
Yeah.
some of those things we don't have anymore, right? Because if something breaks,
Yeah.
we just, I hate to say it, we just throw it away and
Yeah.
try to repair it. Like, I think there's
Mm.
2 shoe repair places in
I was
Lincoln.
just thinking of shoes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's time
Uh-huh.
that if your something happens to your shoes
Yeah.
or something happens to your jewelry, well, you just get a
Yeah.
new one. So,
Yeah, we will help you guys not to throw your jewelry.
right.
So, fix it.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Well, Hanif, thank you so much for your story.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, and we will, I know all of us that are on the call will think about ways that we can get you connected to different people and make sure that we
Mhm.
get you that information. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing your story today, and we will stay connected.
Yeah,
So
I'm very
thank-
glad.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Here's my card,
Okay.
like a bunch of them. Maybe.
Thank you. All right, I'll pass these around.
Hey, Joe,